My next guest got a huge fight coming up here against Shane Burgos at UFC 268 on November 6th. It's a battle in New York. Billy Quarantillo joining me here on the program. Billy, how's it going, man?
I'm doing great, James.
Before we get into this, congratulations on the new contract. Tell me how this all came together, and I imagine it's 4 fights.
Yeah, 4 fight deal with the UFC. It's just it's a dream come true to continue doing what I've been doing. It took me, a very long time to get to the UFC. Now this is my third contract actually with them, so it's a new 4 fight deal. You know how it goes with them, though. Any fight could be your last fight, and any fight could take you to that next level. So I'm just happy to get a deal done with them. I was going to be fighting in my last fight, so it just gives me a little bit of kind of motivation that I'm getting paid what I believe that I'm worth, and their belief in me too. So it's a great thing. A lot of momentum going into this.
I know you're a guy that, is always looking ahead and not, taking too much in, but have you kind of been able to reflect on where you've been over the last couple of years? Like I remember on Twitter years ago, I used to do the Flow Combat rankings, and you sent me a message being like, dude, where am I on this list? And I missed you on there or something like that. But like to go from that as a guy who's really grinded his way through the regional scene to get where you're at, and now you're a mainstay in the UFC with, another contract. Like, how does that feel? Have you been able to enjoy that at all?
Yeah, that's great. I do remember that. It was, you remember the list. It was something like, guys that are ready to be in the UFC or like big prospects or something. And, even to this day, I always use that stuff to motivate me. I see someone, write this about me or say this, or, they don't mention me on certain lists, or, big best fighters to come out of the Contender Series, or this or that. So I've always used that stuff to motivate me. And yeah, it is. It's definitely hit me a little bit. The last couple of years have just been a whirlwind, and I lost the one fight with Tucker, but besides that, it's been all things that have pushed me like further and further along, and where I've wanted to go with my career. That's to be a world champion, to be a big star in the UFC. So we're getting there. We're not there yet. Like I always tell my wife, I'm like, we're not there yet, but as long as I keep doing the right stuff.
Seemed like Christmas came early for you, right? Getting to fight New York, getting to fight Shane Burgos, pretty notable guy. Again, New York matchup, Buffalo against, I guess, New Jersey in this case. Like, how excited were you when you found out that you'd be fighting Shane? I mean, this has got Fight of the Night written all over it.
Yeah, I couldn't believe it. I was super excited, and even more so now, a Saturday in the morning, but I didn't find out about that until I was watching it on ESPN Plus. So it was pretty cool. I was like, oh man, there I am. And then it took me like a split second to realize. I was like, oh man, that's not the prelim card. That's the, I'm right in between, Frankie Edgar and Michael Chandler and Justin Gaethje, and fighting Chito Vera. So it's amazing, man. It's a great matchup for me. I love it. I've been a fan of Shane Burgos before. I've watched a bunch of his fights already, and then of course leading up to this fight, I've watched them all again. And yeah, it's just a dream come true to be an underdog fighting a top 15 guy at Madison Square Garden. For my story, you can't write this stuff, so I'm just looking forward to making the most of it and getting that victory and taking my career to the next level.
You got a lot of people from Buffalo making the trip down, or how's that going? I know it's actually kind of far, right? It's not super close like people would think.
Yeah, it's not super close. I do got a bunch of people that are flying over there. I don't know if anyone's driving, which it's not that bad of a drive. It's probably like 6.5 hours. I got a bunch of people flying in from Tampa, where I'm living in, and then I got a bunch of my family. My whole entire family's going. So I think there's probably like 20 or 30 of them, and then a bunch of my random friends got tickets. A lot of people hit me up and they're like, hey, Billy, we love you, man, but I'm not spending $800 to watch you fight. And, and on top of that, like the cost of the flight, the cost of the hotel, this and that. So I understand if you can't make it. I totally understand. Watch it at home, watch it at a bar. But for those who are going to go, I think it's going to be a really special event. Easily the best card I've ever been on. And to be on the main card now, to be involved with all the pay-per-view main card stuff, it's been a long time coming, and I'm gonna cherish it.
Style wise, how do you look at this fight with you and Shane Burgos?
Yeah, I'm just looking at like he's just another guy. I've fought in guys like him before that are really, really, really good strikers. He's got really good hands. He's super dangerous. But I feel like there isn't someone I haven't fought yet. There's a couple styles that you really got to worry about, like guys that could just blanket you and stay on top of you. He's not really bringing that wrestling threat. Of course, we're working on the defense to everything, to his boxing, to his wrestling. But I think he's the best fighter I've ever fought. Top 15 in the world. He's fought a lot of big names: Edson Barbosa, Josh Emmett, Kelvin Cater, Cub Swanson. So he's definitely the biggest name, but it's nothing that I haven't seen before, and it's nothing that I haven't put myself through in my training camp.
Training camp, anything different for this one, or usual cast of characters as far as your training partners and coaching and all that stuff?
It's kind of felt like a long extension of the last training camp. We had a great camp against Benitez. I did suffer a couple cuts in that training camp. Like I posted on Instagram, I kept cutting this eye open, and then, of course, fight night, it got cut open again. So I'm always saying, I'm like, well, at least this camp's going better than the last one because I'm getting the sparring in and I'm getting the work in. It's been just a really big grind. One person I've been working a lot with, not a lot. I've worked a few sessions with him so far. With Antonio Tarver. It kind of just fell into place that we have a mutual friend, and he was actually coaching a few blocks away from where I live. So I'm working with Antonio Tarver, former world champion, Olympic medalist. Working with him a lot and with the boxing, but besides that, same old crew. An extension of last training camp, and taking the momentum of that fight and bringing it into this fight.
How do you see this fight playing out on November 6th? How do you envision the fight going down?
I'm expecting. They say like expect the worst. So I've envisioned it going a lot of different ways. I could see it being a 3-round dogfight. I could see myself landing that big shot early. I could see it happening a bunch of different ways. But all I know is whatever the case may be, Billy Q is going to get his hand raised. It's one of those fights where I've had a lot of people be like, oh man, it's cool just fighting at the Garden. It's cool, like win, lose or draw. And it always like that always makes me feel super uncomfortable because of course that'd be great, but looking back on it, it's going to mean a lot more going in there and getting a victory than going there and losing at MSG. So I'm going in there and whatever I have to do to win this fight, I'm getting my hand raised.
Sticking with predictions, we got a pretty interesting card coming up here this weekend, UFC Vegas 41. Always got to get your thoughts. You're I consider you one of the good analysts out there too. We got that Jessica Rose Clark and Joselyne Edwards fight right now in Fanduel. Jessica Rose Clark -142, Joselyne Edwards +116. Jess coming off the big layoff. Edwards going to be a little bit bigger than her. Who do you think gets it done in this fight on Saturday?
I'm going to have to go with Rose Clark on this one. I don't know much about her opponent. I haven't, I do love analyzing fights, but I haven't been able to watch a lot of these fights. I have seen Rose Clark fight before. I do see her getting a lot of hard training, and I believe she's out of Vegas, if I'm not mistaken.
California now, but was part of Vegas. She was with Syndicate before, but now I think she's out there training with all type. But either way, a lot of good training sort of going into this one as well. So that supports
still really good training. So I know she was. That's where I'd see her in the Vegas training area. I'm going to rock with her just because I know her and I know she's a veteran that could get the fight done.
Co-main event, Grant Dawson, Ricky Glenn, a pair of former featherweights, now lightweights, and actually also have the same management you do, which is kind of interesting in this fight. Dawson, a big favorite here, -340. The comeback on Ricky Glenn, +260. Who are you favoring in that one?
Crazy odds. I am going to rock with my boy, Grant Dawson. I've been a fan of his for a long time. His wrestling is very good. He looked incredible in his last fight, getting that super late finish in a fight that I thought he was winning. I know after some people were like, oh, it was a comeback win. I thought he looked good in that fight. Rick Glenn, super, super tough. Beat
Gavin Tucker.
Back in the day, which I watched that fight. That was what I was trying to do. I was trying to borrow Rick Glenn's homework in the Gavin Tucker fight and wasn't able to. But yeah, I think Grant Dawson, his wrestling is probably a little bit superior. He's with James Krause and those guys. They usually have really good game plans, and I think he's going to be one of those top 5, top 10 guys we're talking about really soon.
And the main event, Marvin Vettori, Paulo Costa. Marvin Vettori is slight favorite here at -142. The comeback on Paulo Costa, +116. Who are you leaning on that one?
I could see this fight being kind of a coin toss. I'm gonna go with Paulo Costa. I like his antics. I think he's a funny guy. Always talking about drinking wine and getting drunk before his fights. That stuff's funny. I don't think Marvin looked that good in the Israel fight. It's hard to look good against Israel Adesanya, but just for fun, I think I'm more of a fan of Paulo Costa. I think he's funny with his Ricky Martin clothing. I thought that was really funny. Let's rock with Paulo Costa.
Where does a win put you here over Shane Burgos? Pretty notable guy, right? He's fought sort of the who's who in the weight class. Do you feel like that kind of gets you, that ranked opponent after this, or what are you looking at with the implications of this fight?
I definitely think it's going to put me in a position where, well, one, it's going to make me more of a household name. I think that's the plan going into this fight, doing everything right with the, with this performance really. So I think it gives me a much bigger name, puts me in the top 15 of a very stacked featherweight division. I'm hoping after this it'll be pay-per-view main cards from here on out. Keep climbing up those, getting some co-main events, that kind of stuff. But I got into the sport to be a world champion. I'm 32 right now. I'm entering, I'm in my prime right now. I think, right now. So now's the chance where, take out Shane Burgos, get in a top 15 spot and just keep climbing the ladder from there. Keep, fighting another ranked opponent, fighting another big name, fighting, just bigger and bigger people that, I grew up fighting, or, other up and comers that are above me in the rankings.
How are you feeling about the Bills this season?
Man, so I don't want to jinx them, but man, this is a special team. Josh Allen, my favorite player right now. It's hard not to love what he's doing as a lifelong Bills fan. So I don't want to jinx anything. We obviously looked really good against Kansas City. I live in Tampa. I'm going to be at the Bills Tampa game in December here, so I'll get to watch it firsthand, and then I'm sure I'll go back home to Buffalo for at least one or two home games after this fight. So super excited. I don't want to jinx them, but I think they have a championship mentality, and I think last year losing in the AFC Championship game kind of left a bad taste in their mouth, and I think this year they're a more complete team, and they have what it takes to go all the way.
And are you following the Sabers at all? I mean, that whole thing's just interesting. I mean, they're actually doing quite well right now, but obviously what's looming over them is this whole Jack Eichel thing.
Yeah, I'm following a little bit. I feel bad. I always feel bad for star players who do have that type of potential to win championships, being on a team that hasn't really figured it out yet. So yeah, I'm following a little bit right now, though. I don't have as much time as I'd like to. I'm training like a madman, and I'm watching the Bills, pretty much every week. I'm watching them every week so far. I probably will watch every Bills game. But Sabers, if they start turning it around, I'll start investing more time in them. But right now I got my own business to handle.
You still made time for me, Billy. Really appreciate it. Anyone you want to thank, any sponsors, any social media? I'll give you the last word.
Everyone knows who they are. Just appreciate you having me, James. Always time for you, bud. And check out my fight November 6th, UFC main card. And this is just the beginning.